Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Apologies for the little delay there. We are live with Muhju. That's how you pronounce that, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Muhju, perfect. Yeah, thank you for making the time today. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. Means a lot.
Yeah, should be a good time. Um, just to start there, we kind of got into it before the stream. But in terms of your background, how did you initially get into producing this type of art that you're working on now?
So my background is in architecture, and I started making art as a hobby kind of since forever. But during my architecture studies, I learned how to use certain software. And those softwares are mostly used to model in 3D and to render images and to present like a project in a kind of presentable and aesthetic way. And during studies, we also had art history as part of our curriculum. And my favorite part was the study of the Renaissance buildings and the Renaissance era, like the medieval era. And we also studied how the Romans built and how the ancient Greeks built. And I also had my highest grades there. We also had to like learn by heart how to sketch a temple, like a Doric temple from the front, and also like know all the details by heart, which elements belong where, and the certain there's in ancient Rome and ancient Greece there's certain rules to how you composite a certain style.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to, I don't know, it stayed with me. And as a start, I started using the tools to just, make art because I thought, wow, I learned how to visualize my projects, my ideas with Photoshop, with ArchiCAD, with Rhino, with Cinema. I could do anything with that. Reality could be whatever I wanted. And so that's how I started. But I started quite like slow. Like I just did some Photoshop collages, I did sketches, I just posted them out there. And slowly but surely over the years it started developing into those thematics, like a merging between kind of modern ways of making art, which wasn't seen as something, of value, like digital art. Like in before 2020, digital art was basically, if you wanted to be a digital artist, you just did commissions. You did album cover, you did book covers, you did maybe posters, you did animations,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't do art that was displayed at a gallery. That's like the last thing that would happen to it. But what I figured out is that people would love to buy prints, and this is where kind of digital art was thriving, like before, or still is, outside of crypto, as in forms of prints on social media. And this is where I started as well. I started selling prints for everything, and then in 2021 I came to the Web3 space and started doing my art. I started listing my art on Ethereum, and it looked a lot different in the beginning in 2021. If you look it up on Twitter, you will only find it if you scroll all the way back,
We're gonna do
all
it.
the way back to 2021. Or you just go on OpenSea and find my wallet, and then you will see how different the pieces looked. Or if you go on my foundation, I don't even know if I have foundation in the link tree anymore. I don't. I
Yeah,
have
super
kind of
rare.
like abandoned that idea on Super Red. Also, like there won't be the old style, which was basically landscapes that I collaged together and painted over. This is how I started,
Mm.
and it was basically mainly Photoshop and Procreate. and just experimenting, trying to find like what I liked, and this is what I liked back then. You'd have to scroll for so long.
Oh yeah, we're there.
Is that no? That's cap.
Yeah, this is your oldest post. 2023 it looks like, unless Twitter like deletes
No,
them after a certain
Twitter.
time.
I guess Twitter deletes them then.
Hmm.
But it's no, this is 2023. This is what I'm doing now, basically. So it's if you maybe maybe I can send you a link.
Yeah, you can drop
Find
one.
it. OpenSea. There's some okay. There's some fake accounts of mine. But I need to find the right one. I think
Like
this
dummy
is
accounts
me.
that you made.
No. There's fake accounts of mine that are selling my art, but it's not my
Oh,
wallet.
impersonators.
That's yes. So let me send you this on Discord here. And if you go to created, you see my smart contracts, and then you will see a contract called Vitia, which is that was my first collection that I did. And it was all mostly collage and some 3D elements implemented it and painted over. This was the first collection that I dropped in 2021, 2022. It's 50 pieces, it's 50 portraits, and it sold out like respectively over the weekend. It was my first success, I would say. And there I thought I could keep doing this, or I could learn how to like do it all in 3D, model it all myself, not use collages, not kit bash images, just do it all myself, do all the compositions myself fully. And then for 3 months, I took a break where I just worked on something new. And then I posted 3 pieces. And those 3 pieces were completely different. One looked a bit like a Vitia piece. The other one was like called Abaddon, which and it was a depiction of like a demon in like complete black, like darkness with one light shine top of the figure. And then there was one piece called Doxa, and Doxa is a piece. The figure was all white, adorned with like gold ornaments and like angel wings, and that piece like that took off. And then I started doing another piece. Let me find my foundation actually, that I will see it. It's also
And when you say painted, I'm guessing you mean digitally painted, like in Photoshop or
it's
something.
digitally painted.
Okay, yeah.
It's digitally painted. Yeah, everything I do is natively digital. Let me send you my foundation as well. And there you can see lots of those figures all in white and gold, and it was birthed from that piece, that one angel, that one white angel. And if you go on foundation as well, you see like the pieces I did before Vitia that looks completely different. It's like yeah, it's all collaging and experimenting. And I think
Oh,
many
okay,
artists
so
start that way. I think it takes years for an artist to like find their art style, find something they're um, recognizable for. And to me, it was this journey. I believe I'm still living this. I'm still trying to form my art style. I think my art style is going to change in the next 5 years. See, it's those were the themes.
mm-hmm.
This was a 2021.
Yeah, no,
This is
certainly.
how
I
I
mean, it's
started.
it's a constantly evolving thing. There's not really any way to like
Mhm,
lock it down.
mhm,
I mean, even Andy Warhol, he didn't really stick with like the same subject all the time.
mm. And I think many artists, I mean, no artist just makes one art style. Artists, they just do whatever they want, and then they're known for one art style, and they make a living off of that. But then they do whatever they want, and sometimes they encounter this block. They have this crisis where they don't enjoy like their art style anymore, and they want to do something new, but they're just known for that art style, and they hit this creative block, and they go on a hiatus. A friend of mine, he's collecting a piece right now of an artist here, uh, a local artist, and he's going through that exact same thing. Yeah,
Interesting. I like this one just because of the moving textures.
this
If I
one
could,
never got collected.
no.
Never, no.
How much is 0.5 Ethereum?
It's 0.5 because it's a collaboration with an artist that does physical paintings. So it would be split between those two addresses.
All right. Well,
It's
next time I have 2,000 Canadian dollars lying around, I'll be sure to pick it up because yeah, no, I like the textures there.
Mhm. I yeah, that actually never got picked up. But it makes sense. And maybe one day it will get picked up before ETH goes to like 10K or whatever it does. Like so far ETH has been a stable coin at 2,500, but pumping right now.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah,
Now you
yeah.
said that it began with architecture, but what even drew you to that? Is it something that you wanted to do as a kid, or is it just something that you kind of fell into as you got older?
Hmm. Good question. So I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I had not one fixed interest. I was interested in many things. I actually did music. Like I played the piano since I was 7 years old. I even every now and then went to like events and played and had like a little side hustle like that. And I really enjoyed video games, and there was the option to study game design in Zurich. So I don't know if it's if people do that in Canada, but in Switzerland you can go, like the school sends you to like consulting where you can talk about your interests, and you can find what's going to be your next step in your studies or your career. You can
Yep.
go to
Yeah.
many universities here. Yeah, and I had a consultant, and I was like, I really do enjoy games, but I enjoy like not the gaming aspect of it, but I enjoy like the technology behind it, the creativity behind it. And the option was you could go study game design, or you could go study architecture. And I, in Switzerland, it's called Eidgenössische Matura, which is the certificate that you need to go to university without having to apply. Like you can just go to the top universities in the world, and 15%, I think, of the I don't know, the students in Switzerland, they have the certificate where they can go to study. The rest is they do something that is very native to Switzerland. They do an apprenticeship. So
Hmm.
you can, and then you go inside a field and you specialize in the field. The smaller part, they go to university and study. And because I had this degree, I had this certificate, it would not have made sense to study game design because I would not have needed to go to this high school where they give you that certificate. So I decided to study architecture at ETH, which right now is the third best in the world ranking for architecture in the world. And I initially didn't want to because it was known for you to destroy you. Like people, like 60% of the people studying there would just get kicked out of the first year already. And I actually wanted to quit after the first day because it was too much. And I then wanted to quit again after the second week. But I saw that a teacher for game design studied architecture at ETH. So I thought, I could do architecture, have a good degree, and then I can always go back to game design if I wanted to. But now we're here, so it's sort of, kind of, like the work that I do is all in 3D. It's all modeled in textures and done in Cinema 4D. And that's also my passion. So my passion is really design, and it's architecture and art.
Okay, so how did you make it out alive then if 60% of people drop out?
I actually barely didn't. Like, I just barely passed at the first year. We had to. So the model was that you have a semester where you do 3 projects, and you have to pass all of them individually. Plus, you have exams that you have to pass, like 3 blocks of them individually.
Is a
Otherwise, you
semester
need
half
to
a year or a
repeat.
year?
It's 3 months a semester. Yeah, it's basically half a year. It's like 3.5 months, and then 2.5 months of break and exams at the end of those 2.5 months, and then you have a 1 or 2 week break, and then you repeat it for 3 years. So you basically have projects during the semester, and then you have the submission, and then you have 5 weeks to study for exams, and then you have an exams period for 1 month, and then for 2 weeks you have a break, and then it begins again for 3 years. Then you get the bachelor.
3-year program. Holy shit!
It's extremely tough, and they changed it. Like after I graduated, there was a lot of discussions of it was too many topics, too much work, and then they changed it. And then they put a lot of the topics in the new master's degree, and so I had to do the full bachelor and the new master, which was tougher than the old master. And there was a lot of protests going on, but yeah, I wrote the same exam 3 times because of that. Imagine that terror you have to go through. And how did I survive it? I don't know. I don't know. I remember the first year, the second semester, I was at university from Monday until Friday. I didn't go home. I slept on the floor. I slept for like 1 hour a night, and because otherwise you wouldn't make it in time. And I was awake for like 4 days in a row. But then I managed. I passed. And when I came home, I slept for like 17 hours straight. I will never forget that.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, that's one way to destroy a hairline. Oh my god. My god, I thought my university time was stressful. Jesus, what the fuck, man?
Like
you went to med school. You went to med school for architects.
No, it's architecture is. I don't know. Like I don't know why architecture is like that. It's the problem was that I was 18 years old. I was fresh out of high school, like with the equivalent of high school, and many others they already had 5 years of work experience. They were like 30 years old. They were really like skilled people, and I had to like you always have the average, so you have to compete with them. When I started, I didn't even know how to use Photoshop, and we had to use Photoshop for a submission. And we had I remember one semester in the 3rd year, they were like, okay, until next week, you have to look at the terrain, model it, make a section, and plant trees and everything. And yeah, we'll look at the design next week. And those were 4 new software that I never see. It was Cinema 4D, it was Rhino 3D, it was Cloud Compare, and another software where you could kind of render a 3D mesh with a point cloud. And we had to do it all in a week. So I was not sleeping for that entire week. And in the middle of the semester, the professor came and was like, "Yo, I sent you an email. There's a warning note. You're failing. You're failing this semester." And
Wow.
that was every time. Like that was the entire university. You started a new semester and you had to go through something that you have never done before.
And that was before ChatGPT.
That was before ChatGPT. Yeah, way before ChatGPT.
Interesting. And like, how did you end up learning? Because like for me, at least like before like AI and all that, I would just get these books. They're part of a series called like For Dummies. So like they'll have like Photoshop for Dummies, or the
Mhm.
algebra for dummies, comics for dummies, like whatever, anything for dummies.
Yeah.
And it would be a really good like introduction, because it would be written by an expert in the field, somebody that has a storied career, and they've already gone through like all the mistakes, and they've learned how to go about whatever it is that they're teaching. So they'll give you like quick tips on how to get started, and things to avoid and all that. Like those books are honestly a godsend. They're a great place
Yeah.
to start. But like for you, is it just like, were you just like reading the documentation, or just experimenting, or like how did you get up to speed in time so that you could actually keep up with your grades and everything?
I learned by attempting, like doing it. I had the software open. I tried to do an image, and for every step I had to look it up on Google. I had to Google it, or I had to watch like a 3-minute video on it. I mean, I still do the same thing. I want to do X and Y. How do I do that? It's literally probably one click somewhere, and you have to research it for 5 to 10 minutes until you figure it out. But if you're at university, and that was long before COVID and remote work became a thing, you had all other students of different ages and talents that had certain skills. So I would just go to them and ask them, and they would give me the answer. And that's mainly how I learned. For the first Photoshop task in the first year, in the second semester, where I was completely helpless, uh, we had to design a political poster for architectural initiatives. So
Like
we
a
had to
propaganda
invent,
poster.
yeah, we had to literally do a propaganda poster. And I had never used, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, get more students in here.
yeah. I had never done Photoshop before, and I had to do a poster for the next week. So how do I do it? I went to a friend. He was really good. I knew he was really good in Photoshop. I was like, he and then he showed me how to do it. And from there on, I started learning Photoshop more and more and more. And then I remember once I was with a friend of mine. I was photoshopping something, and she was like, "Do you know how to use masks?" And I'm like, "What masks?" And which is like a super basic tool in Photoshop, and it's like everyone uses it. I never used mask in Photoshop, and then I started how to properly use Photoshop over the years.
Hmm.
But it's just the thing is, at that university, they just tell you what you need to submit, but they are not showing you how to do it. So the entire architecture software that is extremely intricate, and after 13 years of using it, I'm still learning how to use it. It's like they don't show you. They just tell you you need to submit a floor plan, you need to submit a section. The section has to look like this. Go. They don't offer help on how to do it. You're just like by yourself, and they're like, haha, you belong to the 60%. I remember the first the first class of design study, the teacher came in So we had 10 classes of like up to 30 people each. And he sat on the table and he was like, "Hello, my name is Michael. Nice to meet you. This is design 1 and 2. Half of you will not pass this course, but I hope that we will have a good time anyway." That was his introduction. And I will not forget this. And then he pulled out a block of paper, of A4 paper for each student, put it on a table and said, "Sketch whatever comes to your mind, and I'll come back in an hour, and then we'll discuss it." And this is where my downfall started.
Why do you say that?
It was because we started sketching. Imagine, like, it's 8 a.m. You start the day, you have a 2-hour lecture, and then you're told, like, now you go into the classrooms and you do the exercise. And then it's 10 a.m. You come in. First, you're introduced. "Hey, you're not gonna pass. But anyway, here's a block of paper. Sketch whatever comes to your mind." And then you start. And then we hung up our sketches, whatever it was, like some nonsense. And then he started roasting everyone one by one. He started saying, like, "Hey, without even knowing what you're supposed to do, without knowing the idea, I didn't understand anything. I just remember that I was drawing some columns and he just roasted the heck out of me and just made me believe that I suck, which I did." And then after that hour or two, he said, "Now you start folding the paper and I will come back in an hour." And then he came back, roasted us again, and then now sketching again. And we repeated this process until it was 8:30 in the evening. I was at home at 11 and I wanted to quit. I said, "This is not for me. Doesn't make any sense. This is like military. This is like this is not a fun this is not a fun topic at all." So yeah, that's why it was a downfall.
That's an interesting way to start a class, because like I've heard that like that approach get taken by professors who teach in STEM, like science, biology, physics, and all that. Like they like to start the
Yeah,
class by saying like, "Hey, by the way, um, your grades are gonna drop. Most of you will drop out. You're not gonna make it, and all that." But I didn't expect that
yeah.
it would happen with architecture, because like at least here in Canada, like when I went to university, some of our professors did the same thing, but like they did it in a way that basically said like, "Look, because high schools across Canada aren't as standardized,
Mhm.
seeing as we're like such a big country, you're not gonna have the same standards uh, going into university. But like university is the great equalizer." And they mentioned that like you're going to see a drop in your grades anywhere from 10 to like 40 or even 50% from where
Yeah,
you actually were in high school.
yeah.
And that was like something that you kind of had to get used to, because like my best friend, he went to a high school that like barely gave out any homework, and he was getting like 80s and 90s. So going into university, he was thinking like, "Oh yeah, like no problem, I could fucking do this, fucking easy peasy." Whereas I went to a high school that was very it had a reputation of being like a feeder school into like the top universities, and so there's a lot of
Mm.
preparation that goes into that beforehand. There's a lot of like additional courses that people can take, and it's a lot more intense in how they teach a lot of subjects. So going into it, I had like, I don't know, like I had just enough for like literally like by percentage points like to get into my program, um, and my grades were kind of like stabilized. Whereas he like saw this drop and he was like, "Fuck, man, I feel so
Mhm.
stupid." And it's like, no, man, it's not you're
Mhm.
stupid. It's just like the standards are so much different. But to your story, that's probably a good way of like weeding out the people that probably shouldn't be there, or that don't really believe in it, or that aren't really all that interested in it, because like that'll at least like get rid of them, and then keep around like the people that do actually want to stay and that do want to prove themselves and do want to make something of themselves.
Yeah, it's true. I remember being at like the first day where they had like this intro lecture, and there was the first row was full of students that just had finished the first year. And I remember asking like a girl that was sitting in front of me, and I was like, "Is it as hard as they say? Do you have to stay up all night to work? Is it true?" And she turns around, and her eyes were like wide open, and she said, "It's all a psychological test." And then she turned around again, and I was like, "What? What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you saying?" Like that was like that was the conversation, and I
Wow.
found out. I found out it is a psychological test. Everything is a psychological test, but it has helped me like this, even though it's I don't know if it's like borderline abusive, but like this approach has helped me in life overall. Like the rate of the people getting hired out of ETH, of even like architects going into different fields, like any fields, like it doesn't matter if you even studied architecture, you can just apply and you have a Master of Science at ETH, you will get a really good job right away. When I started applying, I got yeses everywhere. I was able to choose which job I could take. Um, yeah, that's the main building in Zurich, ETH Zurich. It's a great school. Um, it was an amazing. It was probably the best time of my life so far. I during my masters, I did architecture. I learned the ropes of it. I was in the flow, and I did art on the side and was able to finance my entire master's degree. And that was just, I think that was the best time of my life so far. That's
Well,
University of Zurich, I think, this interior.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me that you were able to have such a wide selection of opportunities because chances are this kind of system has existed in that university for so long, and
Yeah.
with its place like being in the top of like the schools of that region, they probably have a lot of ties to like the business community that get the hires from these places, and
Yeah.
most likely like a lot of the graduates from that school also like make it high up in that world as well, so they know not only the reputation but just through their own experience that whichever students come out of here with a diploma or a degree, um, they will have a certain amount of character or certain qualities of character that you would want in a new hire. Because like coming out of my university experience, like I realized that um, it actually didn't matter as much, at least here, like for my purposes, like which school you went to. It was just that like you had a bachelor's degree because it shows like okay, you can show up on time, you can commit
Yeah.
yourself to something over several years, um, but nobody ever asks for like grades or anything. Like they just see
Mhm.
that you have it on your CV that you went to like a school and you have a diploma, and they don't
Yeah.
ask questions. And it actually made me think. I was like, man, like nobody ever asked to actually see my diploma. I could have just like lied and said I went to university or whatever. But yeah, from your perspective, that'd be almost an impossibility. But no, man, that's fucking that's amazing that you were able to make through it. That must have been quite the relief when it was over.
It was, I have to say, towards the end. So in Switzerland, you also have like for ETH. I don't know exactly how it is at University of Zurich, but for ETH, for example, you go through, you study, you don't have any money. You don't for like as a student, you don't have any money. You make your money doing like side jobs where you work at university as an assistant or research assistant or like a teaching assistant, which is what I did. And you make your money like this. If you're fortunate enough, you have your parents supporting you.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing is like you do not have to pay those gigantic fees that you have to pay. I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the US, for example, you go into debt. You don't do that in Switzerland. You pay like $800 a semester for all the fees, and you get an incredible education. Towards the end of the masters, though, I was pretty tired because it you have 3 years of bachelor, and for those 3 years to get the bachelor, you also have to do 6 months of internship. And for the masters, it's the same thing. You also have to have 6 months of internship. And if you're Swiss citizens, military or civil service is mandatory for a year. So that's also something I had to do. So it like prolonged the entire study time. And in the end, like towards the end of the diploma, I burned out. Like I landed in the hospital because I was managing like my diploma work and the art. I was like exhibiting, selling art to finance everything while doing my diploma. The diploma was at she a Japanese professor, Momoyo Kaijima. She's like a really renowned architect, and the semester is pretty tough. So I couldn't make it, and I had to kind of restart and try like prolong the diploma for another 6 months until I finally managed, and that was that was a huge relief. That is Doxa. That's the one I told you about. That is when I went and changed my art style.
Mm.
Um, I made this angel, it popped off, immediately got sold, and then I decided to go more into that direction and ended up loving it. I still post this piece every now and then.
So this was like the pivotal moment.
Yes, yes, this one.
Gotcha. Interesting. So
And
it actually. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like the piece is like completely overexposed. Like it's a 3D render of a pose that is a default pose. You have a software called DAZ 3D, and there's figures that you can edit basically. What I do now, I took the base figures and I model like more anatomy on it and pose them. But here it's very simple. I had a figure and posed it with a default pose that you could do right now. Like if you download the software, download the figure, you can double click and it turns into this pose. And what I did is I added wings and decor in ZBrush. And in ZBrush, I kind of demolished the entire figure. I destroyed the mesh and put under it like a skeleton. And then I put the figure on like a plane and put a light on it. Way completely. It was I think it was my first or one of my two first renders in cinema. And it is completely overexposed. Come the lights hitting from the right. It's all like white. You don't even see the details.
Mm.
And I rendered that, and then went completely ballistic with the brush. I smudged over it, painted over it, edited it, and the entire texture around is done in post. But that was the beginning.
Interesting. So when you say you wound up in the hospital because of it, you mean like it was just like too many late nights, like you weren't able to keep up with your health?
Yeah, I wasn't able to stop. Like I never stopped. I never took a break. Now I do it a lot differently. I work. I have every evening, every day where I either go work out or have an evening by myself or I make art. And I kind of have slots that I fill and I do it week by week. And I make sure I have days in between where I rest. And that is like, it is good for longevity. Yeah, back then at university, I did not do that. I went from one thing to the next, no breaks, just no sleep schedule, whatever. When I was working on a piece, I didn't learn to say, okay, I will stop now and continue tomorrow and sleep for 7 hours. No, I was gonna stop when I was done with a piece. And then it's also like a bit of an obsession that I have with the art. And so I was not really very mindful about it. And I remember I got sick and I was like physically ill with fever, and I still worked. I still woke up, posted on Twitter, engaged with everyone, worked on art, and I was sick and I didn't eat for 3 days. And after the fourth day, I couldn't stand anymore. I couldn't move anymore. I came crawling out of my room. I was living at the student campus with like
Mm-hmm.
some roommates, and I crawled out of my room, and I was like, "Help me! I can't get up." And then they brought me to the hospital. Uh, yeah, and I didn't eat for 3.5 days, and I remember getting like a piece of bread and biting into it, and it was just a surreal experience. And I'm never gonna do this again. I don't know why I did it. I didn't think too much, but now I'm way more mindful about it.
Wow. That's yeah, that's a lot. So, how prevalent are drugs like Adderall in university? Because like here, there's quite a bit of it going around. Just people kind of selling it just to kind of keep up with their studies. Do you guys have that as well?
Yeah, the thing is, I never took any performance enhancing drugs. My performance enhancing drug was fear and thinking that I was going to fail, because that was like so. It was the first year of architecture, was there was so much pressure, and there was like the possibility of failing, and I was so afraid of it. I did not want to fail, which is also something that led to like burning out.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to fail. You're allowed to fail. You have the time and space to fail, but I felt like I didn't have that, and I had to like be in a time frame, and I had to succeed. I didn't think of failing as an option, and that leads to burnout. And there are many people who take drugs, enhanced performance, like I don't know Adderall, if it's Adderall, but it's called Ritalin.
Oh,
I don't
Ritalin. Yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. So I remember I was in university from the library, and those um the how do you say it in English? The stuff where you put your stuff in the boxes that you lock in with the keys. Lockers, the
Lockers.
lockers.
Yeah.
I remember opening a locker and just like an empty, like a tray of empty pills, like just fell out of Ritalin, just out of the locker. And sometimes you walk through the hall of university, and there's just like Ritalin just like laying on the ground, like someone dropped their Ritalin. So yes, it's
Wow.
very common that people do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's it's a dangerous thing. The combination of the two, how we were just saying about having the space to fail, and then also trying to push yourself beyond your boundaries, which like can result in either the hospital visit that you had or even worse. I wouldn't even be surprised if you guys had uh, like a suicide every now and then, because going to university,
Yeah,
I think we had at least two
we do.
incidents
Yeah,
where students commit suicide, and I think that's. I mean, I don't know their stories, but I would assume that part of it is because they get caught in a headspace that like I can't fail. My parents are like paying for my way through this. There's
yeah,
a lot of pressure. I need to succeed, and the moment
yeah,
that you don't match up to those expectations, it's like it's the most soul crushing feeling there is. Um, like just speaking from my experience, like
yeah,
I didn't know it at the time, but my university experience ended up just being not at all what I expected it to be. And so it it was very hard to reconcile that with what I was taught that university would be, as this like great space where everyone is engaged and everyone wants to learn, and you're meeting like minds, and the professors are all like amazing, and it ended up
yeah,
being not at all that. not
Mm.
and not nearly as intense as your program either, but it still had its fair like intensity. And um, thankfully, I didn't turn to like any hard substances like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I had my own problems, so I can see how someone in a certain position could be pushed to think that that's an alternative, which is crazy because it's like it's the same thing um as like when you're going through high school, like how high school shooters in America,
Yeah.
why they get so desperate into doing those acts, but part of it is because they don't realize that in a year or two you're never going to have to see these people ever again, and you're never going to have to deal with this kind of pressure, and you can choose your life once you're outside of it. And it's not just because you fail in this one thing, it doesn't mean your life is over.
Yes, and but the thing is, you do not have any reference points. When you're in
Mhm.
high
Mhm.
school, you
Mhm.
don't know how it is working at an office. You do not know that high school is easy or it should be easy for you. You
Mhm.
can't possibly know because you're like 15 years old. How are you gonna tell a 15-year-old to like be like, hey, you have your whole life in front of you. This is but an arc in your life, and things are gonna be much better. And it's you have so many possibilities to do whatever you want. Basically, it's not possible. You can't comprehend this in any way. And the same is for university. You get out of high school and you go study, and your problems are passing the exams and like knowing all the topics by heart, because when you don't pass a semester you basically lose your parents a lot of money, or you get yourself into debt and you feel like this pressure. But you don't know that maybe it's going to get even harder later when you work on projects that have where you have responsibility over clients and a lot of money, and you might get fired and you might not be able to pay for your kids. Like, this is another level. Like, it gets harder and harder as you go in life,
Mhm.
but you can't possibly know. You're surrounded with the problems that you have at the moment, and only in hindsight, that at least it was for me, where you learn that maybe university was the best time of your life, because you didn't have a lot of money, you didn't need to pay a lot for expenses, so you didn't have those worries, and you worried about different things. But yeah, we also had a suicide at our school. Someone jumped off the roof of the architecture building. They
Mm.
just jumped off. Sorry that I'm laughing about it, but just like my way of coping. I can make jokes about anything, but yeah, this is a reality, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I understand having that reaction. Um, yeah, it's the way that incentives are aligned currently with the way that these institutions work. There's a lot of it that can certainly be improved because, yeah, like my experience, like I had to work a job for I think the second year onwards. On the
Yeah,
side at my studies, and then in the summer I would pick up a second job, so I'd be like working two jobs on occasion. Um, so not really a lot of there's moments of like relaxation here and there, but for the most part it was just working. Um, and the debt here in Canada, it's not nearly as high as the U.S., but it's still fairly high
yeah,
for what you get. And the funny thing is that like during COVID, I had a friend who was still finishing his degree, uh, and they didn't change the fees at all, even though now you weren't even going into class. So he's still
yeah,
paying like full tuition, even though all the classes were online. It like none of it just made sense.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, there's a bit of economic pressure here and there, but like the government is actually they're fairly good about like giving out, um, helping out with loans.
yeah,
So it's not nearly as bad as the states, but people still do have like financial concerns going into uni now. Um, but yeah, no, having that kind of a model where you just pay like $800 per semester, like that would have been a much more relaxing time for a lot of people.
yeah.
I'd imagine.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege. It works in Switzerland because the government is laid out like that. It's being paid with tax money, and the tax. is also not that high in Switzerland. Like, it's like depending on the canton you live in, it's like from 16 to 18%, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also the school itself, like ETH, you can take a loan, an interest-free loan from the school there. It's what I did. I took out an interest-free loan, bought myself an iPad, started making art with it, and paid it back without any interest. And they support programs, they support students. They also have a program for entrepreneurs where you can apply to, and they give you a grant of 150K if you're good. Obviously, you have to go through a selection, but there's many ETH funded startups that are making it. That were that's an extreme privilege, and it just works because it also works because Switzerland is so small. It's a completely different structure.
Yeah, because your nation is like it's actually quite small. Like I always confuse it for some of the other Nordic countries, but you guys are tiny compared to
Tiny,
everything around.
tiny,
Yeah.
tiny in the middle of everything. I live in Schaffhausen, which is like the north. Do you know the north? This part. Yeah, I live here. Yeah, this is where I am right now. It's where I'm sitting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I like more up north. Yeah, zoom in next to the rail tracks. A bit down, more down, down, down. I'm not going to show everyone where I live,
No,
but
of course,
pretty
yeah.
much like zoom down, like, yeah, pan down, yeah, like yeah, pretty much is where I grew up my entire life. This speck here, with you do have three schools on there. You have a primary school, you have a secondary
Mm-hmm.
school, and you have the high school, and you have the sports field,
Oh yeah.
and the two sports field, and then you have the gym. Literally, this is where I lived like 18 years of my life. 18, 19 years of my life is in that area.
Oh
And it's
well, yeah.
beautiful.
You didn't have to go far.
And it's beautiful. No, I literally, my house is right. You can find my house is in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting.
my home where my parents live. I now live in the city. Also, you can also find it pretty much in that area. It's yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I would
And I
like to see. Sorry, go ahead.
no, tell me.
No, I was gonna say I would like to see just like on the topic of like schooling and taxation. I would like to see some kind of radical change happen here. Across North America in general, the U.S. is going to be a little bit more stubborn about it, just because of the amount of economic incentives that are aligned to keep the tuition higher. But in Canada here, I mean, we basically have like the schools are essentially socialized in terms of like how many people are able to get in and how much tuition
Mhm.
costs. And even though there is a high cost, like you can get loans fairly easily. Um, it seems a little ridiculous to me that we can't at least try at some kind of a model that emulates Switzerland in some way, shape, or form. The problem is like there's a if you look at like a graph of the amount of administrators that have joined these post-secondary institutions, that amount has gone up like way more like over the years, but the tuition has increased along with it. So we're not even paying for better schooling. We're just paying for like more of
Yeah,
these fucking board members to have
yeah,
like better salaries. And it's like what like
yeah,
this is the next generation. This is the people that are going to be running the country. These are the people that are going to be looking after your pensions once you retire.
yeah.
Like maybe we should invest in that. Maybe we should carefully consider that. No? Like okay, all right.
Switzerland has an interesting system. So usually in many other countries in Europe, you go to school and then you go study and then you graduate and then you get a job. But in Switzerland it's a bit different because not many people study. 15% of the students study. The rest does apprentices. So
Mm,
when you're 15 years old, you do primary school, you go into secondary school. That's also like I don't know if you ever heard that. And after that, you either go to high school, which is called Kanti or Gimi, but 15% go there, 15 to 20% depending on the canton. And from there, when you graduate there, you get a certificate called the Matura, the Eidgenössische Matura, where you can go to any university in Switzerland. And when you do not go to high school, you can go do an apprenticeship from 15 years old. You can go work anywhere you want for 4 years. You go to a school, you go to a job for 4 years, and after that you graduate and you're specialized in that field, and the salaries are the same as from when you go for the top universities in the world. So you don't even need to study. You're already working, you already have working experience from 15 years old, you're already in the field. And if you work anywhere, like if you work literally anywhere in IT, you do an apprenticeship there, you have a good salary. You're good to go. The average salary in Switzerland is the average salary in Zurich is where I work, is 80k Swiss francs. Obviously, the average is a bit biased, but if you're in your 20s, early 30s, you're gonna get by really well.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! Yeah, of course you're gonna get by really well. It's 100. It's 100k. It's a 6-figure salary, bro. You don't get by really well. Okay.
Yes. That's Switzerland to you. The minimum salary, we have a minimum. If you can't work, the government is going to pay. If you're not working, you have some sort of sickness, you need social help, the government's going to pay you 3,500 Swiss francs a month, which is
Jesus fuck.
Yes. If you do not study, if you don't do anything, if you lose your legs or whatever, that's what you get, and you're gonna survive. We do not have homeless people in Switzerland.
Yeah.
At least not where I live.
Gonna break my legs and move to Switzerland. in that order.
Oh,
wow.
The world is very a very, complicated place, and Switzerland is just a little island where it's paradise. I'm telling you. I live in the old town of Schaffhausen, and I live in an apartment that is really affordable. I have a good salary, and on top of that, I make art. And this is peak life right now. Obviously, I'm stressed a lot. I don't have a lot of time, but at least Switzerland is a great place to live. A great place.
Yeah, no, I understand your stance on neutrality now. I get it. I understand it.
I have to say, with my art, whenever I post art, whenever I make art, I just post art. I'm very apolitical. But obviously, like everyone else, I do have an opinion. But when I go out and I make art and I sell art, I do not show I'm very neutral. It has different reasons for it. And the first one is I do not want to split up my collector base. And I know how it is in the US, this split between red and blue. I do not want to participate in that as a Swiss person. I'm as neutral as someone can be. I have this piece listed for 3E. Whoever wants it can have it. I do not care about the rest. If you have a political dispute, you can have it in your room with my art on the wall, but I do not represent anyone. I'm here for the art and about maybe the human psyche and philosophy and aesthetic, but I'm not here to take sides and to bash one side or the other.
Yeah, of course. That's how you make money off both sides, because they both think that you're on their side.
Exactly. But I'm on one side only, and that is Switzerland. I'm in here. I'm active here, but the rest, whoop. It's a shit show out there. I mean, it's everywhere you look at. It's a shit show, but you do as best as you can.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're seeing more of that in Canada now. The polarization of politics. So it's made its way up here too. It's not the peaceful, perfect land that that people make it out to be,
Mhm.
where everyone keeps their doors open and whatnot. Like we got plenty of our own problems, but no, it's just funny. Because you guys
Mhm.
have this historic stance on neutrality, and I
Yeah,
mean it's worked out. You know, if you can
it
afford
has.
for your citizens to have $6,000 in Canadian to just like if
Yes,
you're just disabled.
but it's a
Yeah.
simple reason. It's our upbringing, it's the mentality of the country, and it's again the country is so small. You live your life, you do your job well, and you pay your taxes. And when you pay your taxes, everything is working out nicely. Immigrate. Yeah, you're welcome. We actually need more people. We do need more people.
Yeah.
Ah,
No,
the
yeah.
immigration is hard AF. To become a Swiss citizen, it's hard.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine you guys want to be exclusive with who you let into the country, because there would be there would be quite a social contract to agree to, if you want to be if you want to participate in that society. And no, that's totally understandable. Like if you got a good thing going with all these services and everything that you guys offer, and you want to keep that momentum moving, you can't just
Mm,
let anyone into your borders, and you have to be very selective with the kind of
mhm.
culture that you guys create, so that you can have more success going forward. Like, no, absolutely, totally understandable.
I
That's
mean,
yeah.
I see Switzerland as like a little island that is very multicultural. Obviously, there's more rural cantons who are a bit more conservative, but like Switzerland is very dependent on import, for example,
Hmm.
or yeah, dependent on even people immigrating from different countries to work because we don't really have enough people graduating and working to fill all the spots in like the world cities ranking. For example, Zurich is high up, but compared to other world cities, it is extremely small in population. It has 400,000 inhabitants,
Hmm.
whereas the other world city, the next world city, has millions of people. So I think Switzerland does depend on immigration a lot, and we do have a lot of people coming in from Germany working in Switzerland. But there's a whole system laid out for them as well. They do not pay taxes like Swiss people do. They pay taxes monthly. It's called the Quellsteuer. Uh, so there is a system there, yeah.
Yeah, having membership to the EU and whatnot allows
Yeah.
for more mobile movement throughout the nations there.
Oh, Switzerland is not part of the EU.
Oh, you're not?
Not.
Oh,
Oh, we
really?
would not benefit. Yeah, we do not
Huh.
benefit from the EU. Oh no no.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I because for a second there I was thinking, well, if they are, then I mean their tax revenue is just going to get sapped up by the bureaucracy in the EU, um, which is exactly why the UK wanted to leave, or not wanted to, but did end up
Yeah.
leaving. Um, Interesting. How do you guys manage that? Is it just like something that comes up to a vote every now and then, and people are just like, "Fuck no, we don't want we don't want to participate in that."
So yeah, it is a democracy, so people vote on anything. If you want to pass something, you need to get 100,000 signatures, and then there's a vote on every level, on the level of the city, of the canton, and of the entire country. And we do not have one president. We have the Bundesrat, which is consists out of seven representatives. So it yeah, and I think I'm not sure like when they voted on the EU, but like the mentality of Swiss people is very clear to not join the EU.
Well,
We're
that's a
lucky.
reasonable that's a reasonable reaction to have. I get that. Joining a big government body like that, where people that you'll never meet now make decisions for your day-to-day life. People that
Yeah,
will not be held accountable by your courts,
yeah.
can just do as they please. Like there's that one famous influencer who just got elected to the EU, who has been documenting all of his like his entire journey. I don't know. Have you heard of him?
Which influencer?
I'm gonna see because it's on my Instagram. Let me see if I can find his name. Do, 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 do. Oh, come on. He hasn't posted in a while, so I can't see it. But there's this one influencer who got elected into the EU recently. It should pop up if I search him. Yeah, Phidias. This guy right here. So
Yeah.
he got elected on behalf of Cyprus recently, and he's been documenting the process of like what his day-to-day job is like, what kind of stipends he gets from the EU, you know, how many staff he can have, and just all the like rules and regulations around being in the EU. And it's great because he's like really opened up like what the behind the scenes actually looks like, and just like hearing what he was saying about how much money he's given every month, what kind of offices he has, how many assistants he can have, and everything. All of that just adds up, and then you realize, oh, there's like more than 100 of these people sitting in these courts at any given time, and that's just like the elected representatives. That's not even like counting any of the judges or any of the other people that they have in the courts. All of that adds up, and somebody's got to pay for it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that you guys are not exactly excited to join the EU.
Yeah, I mean, there's many reasons, but I think the baseline is that there's no benefit. There's no benefit to us joining the EU. There's no gain in that. When the problem overall is that Europe is, I mean, if you compare it to the US, for example, US has over 355 million inhabitants. Like LA, and like LA has what, over 60 million inhabitants, and has a bigger economy itself than Switzerland. Just LA. It has twice the amount of inhabitants in Switzerland. And USA is like a unified, it's one big country, whereas Europe in itself is just not a country. It's a split up into many different countries that all have their own cultures and languages. And it's really difficult to like unite them all in one coherent system. And so they kind of split off and have their own things going on. Like I'm not like a political expert. It's all based on, you know, what I read in the news,
Mm-hmm.
and based on my opinion as well. I do research on that a lot, as much as I can. Like my dad is a professor in political sciences and history,
Mm-hmm.
but I get some information from him, but that's it. Like I don't. It's not really my go-to. But it's just as from a perspective as a Swiss, yeah, as an average Swiss citizen onto the world making art.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. But no, that's quite the journey, man. Having had that intense background, and it's like, you ever see that movie Whiplash?
Whiplash.
It's with J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller. It's about a drummer.
Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not quite my tempo. Yeah, the
yeah.
final scene is insane.
Am I
Yeah.
rushing or am I
No,
dragging?
but that's my architecture experience. That's the professors were like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, as you said in your own words, that like there's a level of like abusiveness associated with that, sure, but on the other hand, what comes out of the end could be something that is much greater than what it could have been if you had just received like, like soft words of encouragement, or like, oh no, it's okay, like, you can pass. I know it was only a couple percentage points, like having that kind of leniency. There's something amazing that can come out of that pressure, but at the same time, like, you could also burn out and have, you know, tragedy happen.
I'm sorry, but like I understand that beautification of like having like a mentor that gives you hell because you're meant for greatness, like in a movie.
Hmm.
I I understand that, but in real life, it's like it's not like you go to university. I mean, it's very rarely the case where you go to university and you just want to become the one, right? And someone sees it and just pushes you to the limit accordingly. You just want to, you just want to work, you just want to study. And sometimes there's professors out there who just think that you're gonna be they're the main characters and you're the main character, and you're gonna now experience torture to achieve greatness. In real life, you're gonna burn out, and also there's a possibility that you're gonna die. I mean, if you read up on all the superstars, all the like Club 20, 27 Club, or for example, I recently read about Heath Ledger.
Hmm.
He was so pressured, and he just he he didn't get the care that he had to get at his stage of the career. He had didn't have the care, and then he overdosed because he went to different doctors and got different medicines that overlapped and didn't have a good reaction. And if you want to succeed, you need the proper care and the proper guidance. And in architecture, there's professors who are great architects, but some of them are not great teachers. They're terrible teachers. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And in Whiplash, it's just like I like it's not. I mean, I love the movie. It was extreme. Like I could almost relate to it a bit as well. But it's a movie. It's nothing someone should go through.
No, no, certainly not. And it's easy to get caught up in the romanticization of it, because
Mhm.
realistically, like, those one of ones, they really only like come once in a lifetime, and who knows how much of
Yeah,
it you're actually born with. I mean, we're only gonna have one Elon Musk and one Zuckerberg and one Bezos and one, you name it. Um, like, whether or not you can
yeah,
cultivate that, or whether or not it's even worth it, like, that's really up for debate. But the consequences of not being able to attain that level, or to fail somehow, like halfway through, is, as you said, like, you could lose your life if you really absorb
yeah.
yourself into that.
You could lose your life, and that's not an exaggeration. If you look at, I read a lot of manga. That's a if you're familiar with that, it's a Japanese comic,
Yep.
and the the mangaka, the manga artists are some of the hardest workers on earth. Like, not talking about people that have to work in the coal mine, but I'm talking about hours of work a day. And many of them have worked themselves to death. They are put under an immense amount of pressure by the publishers. They have to publish a chapter weekly. Imagine you're writing a story, you have kind of the ground layer like laid out, but you're not always 100% sure, but you have to release a chapter every week. And the chapter requires so many hours of work that you can barely make in a week. And you have to do this every week for the entire year without breaks, because the publisher wants to make money off of it, because you have a contract with them. And many have worked themselves to death. And one of my favorite artists of all time, Kentaro Miura, is one of them. He died at 54 in 2021 in May. He died, or I don't know if it was 2022. Kentaro Miura. Yeah, yeah, Miura.
Oh yeah, Berserk.
He,
Yeah. I heard about that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he's the author of Berserk, and unfortunately, yeah, he died. And he was a perfectionist, and he did not take any breaks until he was like mentally so exhausted that he constantly went on a hiatus, and died. And it keeps happening.
Yeah, I mean, they in their culture, from what I've heard, they see like sleeping on the job as not a negative thing, but as a sign of your dedication uh, to the workplace, and they're a lot of
Yeah,
a lot of their culture is like romanticized through like manga and media, and it becomes very easy to be like, oh man, like that would be cool to live in Japan and to live that life, but having seen like you ever see that show Tokyo Vice?
no, never, never.
I'd recommend it. It's very good. They had 2 seasons of it. It's based on the story of an American journalist coming over to work for a Japanese newspaper, and obviously like he doesn't fit in and
Mm-hmm.
gets treated with racism and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But in just trying to prove his worth ends up being this like struggle for his life essentially. Um, but even like in their depiction that I saw there of what corporate structure and corporate life is like in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's nothing short of insane. How dedicated some of these people are to their job and the lengths that they will go to in order to get their results or get their work done. Um, there's something to be admired by that, but at the same time, it's like if you have like an actual suicide rate among your students because they're not passing exams, like
Yeah,
is it really worth it? Is it really worth like
yeah,
all that struggle?
yeah. I have two friends of mine that work as architects in Japan, and it's not the same at all. Like it's a completely different game. You work all day, you work 12 hours a day, and then after the work day, you go drink with your coworkers or your boss, and then you get home, you barely get sleep, and you do it again the next day, and your overtime is not paid. And also, like, you advance your career in a company not by your skill level, but by your age and your
Mm-hmm.
time at the company. So if you switch company, you have to kind of start from zero at the next one, because it is very important that people stay loyal to a company. The only upside is that when you graduate, you get a job and the company kind of invests in you. But yeah, it's extremely rough. It's extremely heavy.
And yet they have some of the best media on the face of the planet coming out
I
of that
think
culture.
that's why I think that's the discipline and mindset of the Japanese makes them have the some of the best quality media and products as well. I mean, Sony, Nintendo, all the cars,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the media. I mean, it's all over Europe and the US as well. It's so good that everyone wants to have a piece of it. I mean, Nintendo was the fastest selling console of all time. Nintendo Switch 2. Even though like they like that's the mindset of the Japanese.
Yeah, there's something to it, I guess. Um, Now, in your work currently as an architect, do you find that like making the transition from university going into the workforce that it was kind of seamless because you'd already been through so much that you were like, all right, well, can't get any harder than this.
Um, it is not about it being hard. It's about just a different lifestyle. It's about regular days. Every day is the same. In a sense that I get up at the same time, I get home more or less at the same time. I have a structure, and in that structure, I need to figure out to stop thinking about work when I'm outside of work. That's the main challenge. Because when I'm doing art, like even like I think about all art. about art all the time. It doesn't stop. It's in my head. It's the process is not always me sitting in front of a computer. More often than not, it's like I have an idea, it comes up, I sketch something, or not even that, and I figure it out in my head before I sit down and quote unquote finish it. And working at a day job, it's kind of the same. So you have to design, so you have to think of solutions. Like to me, architecture is problem solving, and the problem spans over, like, depending on the projects that you do. If you design a school, it's completely different than when you design an apartment building. Um, it's always about the context and how you solve problems in the context. And in my case, I work with clients, and you have to sort of figure out the solution with the client by being a therapist sometimes, but also like solving the problem that someone has and helping them find out what problem it is. So you have to go a step behind that. And this is what you learn at university. What I have to learn, like every time you start something, a new stage, you start in a way from zero. I didn't go into work being a pro. I came into work being a newbie and also being treated as such by the company because they saw my portfolio. They saw that I can design well, and now I'm gonna work and design mansions. But I have not ever, like, maybe it was like a one subject in the curriculum of the university, the laws. Now I have to become a lawyer because in Switzerland you have so many laws in so many different cities that you have to know them when you design. And this is the challenge right now. When I draw a line, I'm not sure if this is legal. Like I need to go back and forth with the laws. And that's why I like art so much. Because to me, art is like I can do anything I want. In architecture, I can't. And it's like going through a labyrinth of restrictions and designing something there. Whereas in art, I can design anything I want and there's no restrictions. It's much easier to make art than to do architecture
So what is it that
in
keeps
that
you in
sense.
in architecture then? What is it that has you grounded in that? Because I mean, from what you've said, sounds like you could make a decent living from just doing your art alone.
The problem is I I have been doing a decent living from my art, but the problem is that if you want to plan, if you want to invest, if you want to budget, if you know like how much you have and how much is going in, how much is going out, you have to have a regular income. And if your full-time job is based on a market that barely anyone has studied because it's so young, I mean, let's not kid. The NFT space started going up in 2021. That's 4 years ago, and I don't see anyone being an expert after less than 5 years. Nobody can call themselves an expert, so nobody basically has an idea what's going on in the market, and it is something that is also unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're dependent on sales, you'll have a month where you sell out everything, and then you have 4 months where nothing comes in. And maybe like a big sum comes in 1 week, but the next 8 weeks, there's nothing. And it's hard to plan on that. And it's also takes a massive toll on your mental health. And when art becomes something commercial, you do something that is expected of you, and you don't do it for yourself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to adapt to the market, and then you're always working for something. And that kind of disrupts it for me. When I made art, I made it while I was studying. So I was studying, I had something to do, I had a path I was going, and I was making art, and I was free. I could do whatever I want. I didn't overthink it. As soon as I stopped studying and only like I just wanted to make art because it's the best thing ever, I started to commercialize it too much. I started to overthink it too much. I started being hesitant, and I started really focusing on more academic ways of making art, aesthetic ways of making art, instead of just doing what I wanted. And now that I'm working and having a regular income, a regular day, a regular structure throughout the week, I can see it again as something I would do anyway, as a hobby, as a side hustle. And I can have a month of sales, and that's great. Or I can just have 3-4 months of nothing, and I'm still going to be fine. And that takes away all the pressure.
I see. So having that, having a more restricted space to work in, like architecture, uh, allows you to have the ability to focus on like more creative pursuits in a more open way, so that you don't have to consider their commercialization, or like that you have to make sales. Like that doesn't even come into the picture when you're generating art, because you
Yeah,
already have that job to look after you.
yeah. I can also, I mean, you probably have seen the market in Web3. There's artists that have been selling for 5 ETH. They have sold for 5 ETH in 2021, 22, and now they're putting down the price 10 times. They're selling for 0.05. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell. For me, I can still stick to my price point, and I can not sell for 6 months, which is normal as an artist, and still have an income and still create art and make better and more art. And it's still like, it's something also I'm doing that can work long term. One day, I'm also gonna make the decision to have my own office, because that's why I'm working. I'm
Like
working
your own
to
firm?
gain experience. Yes, my own design office. My art is like, architecture and art are very similar in a way that when I work, I design. When I make art, I design. I design most of my time where I'm awake, and it's my passion. But I still need so much. Like, I still need to learn so much when it comes to like constructing something, when it comes to realizing a project. And I can't just go in and start an architecture office or a design office. But my art goes beyond the canvas, in that sense that it's not just digital paintings on a screen that are NFTs. It's sculptures, it's a design language, it's something you can wear, it's something you can step into, it's something you can touch. Like, there's many layers to what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to achieve also by working full time in an architecture office, because I learn the ins and outs of what it means to work 2 hours on a project, what it means to work 200 hours on a project, and what it means to do financial management, how it means to manage like 3-4 different parties, how it means to look at a project in different stages, what it means to do a change in design, all of that, and then start to implement it. It also helped me work a lot more structured with my art.
Interesting. That's a cool little balance that you have going there, especially now that you
Yeah,
know how not to burn out.
yeah.
You can step between the two worlds freely.
I'm trying to know. I'm not 100% there yet. I'm still, I'm still learning.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I
like
haven't
anyone,
fully figured it out.
it's a constant learning process. I imagine that you never really do like quote unquote like figure it out, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's interesting path that you have there. That you worked out for yourself. Um, Do you think that you'll still like stick with architecture and design till your final days? Do you think that um, it has enough of a place in your life that you wouldn't want to let it go? Like even in your retirement, you would still want to do something with it?
I do not think that far what I'm gonna do in my retirement, but I really can't see myself stopping with making art. I have been making art since I can remember. And I mean, when I was a small kid, I painted these little, like I painted like these battlefields made out of hundreds of stick figures, dots, and whatever. Like I spent hours just painting battlefields, and then I started learning how to sketch manga, and then I started learning how to draw houses, and now I can model in 3D. So it is evolving. I don't know what the art will look like. I don't know how much AI will influence it. Like it's gonna influence it. It has influenced it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I hope to be making art in my retirement. I hope to design, but compared to what I'm doing now, I hope to be realizing projects, like physical projects. I hope to be building like actual homes, actual sculptures in real life, like beyond the digital realm. That's what I hope to be doing. And I hope to be also curating art, like build a gallery, have artists exhibit in there, be a patron to artists, be a mentor to artists. That's what I hope to achieve one day. Oh, this one is a work in progress. It's a actually it doesn't look. It looks insane. I wish I had left it there. I don't even remember posting this one.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a it's a work in progress there. Ended up looking completely differently. Damn, it looks cool. I haven't seen this in 2 years, I think, since I posted it. I don't even think I have this on my phone.
Hmm. So yeah, I was actually going to ask in terms of more about your art. The style that you've created for yourself. What is it about it that kind of gravitates to it? Because like the unifying theme that I'm seeing across a lot of these pieces is that they're essentially, um, what is it? The French have a word for it, but I forget. It's like they usually do it in live performances where they have like actors pose in certain figures. Not an ensemble. My God, the word I'm blanking on the word, but in any case, they have this word for it, arranging a scene with people in different poses and whatnot. And a lot of the themes that you use here, they're repeated with heaven and hell and medieval armor and old ancient forms of architecture with like the Roman and the Greek columns. Um, how did you like stumble upon this kind of style? What is it about it that makes you want to make more of it?
A good question. I mean, hmm, it's firstly the aesthetic that I'm extremely impressed by. I would say the medieval Renaissance era. I'm just if you stand in front of like have you ever been to the 16th chapel
The
and
Sistine
seen like
Chapel?
the
No,
yes
I've not been there. I've really only
or
visited Spain when I've been to Europe, so I haven't had a chance to see
yeah
a lot of medieval architecture. I've seen a lot of like Gaudi works, but
yeah
nothing that's like the Sistine Chapel.
I can't even thing is I can't even explain why I like this art style. It's just something that comes easy to me when I do it. I I'm like I can highly recommend if you ever travel to Italy, you go visit Florence and you go into the museums there and look at the paintings there. the amount of work and detail that goes into an artwork when you look at a big painting is like you don't see that on a Twitter feed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like reading a book. It is something that I'm fascinated by. It's like you used to look at a painting back then like you watch a movie, and right now it's not even enough to just sit in front of a screen and see 1,000 pictures moving. It's not enough for us. It's not enough dopamine. It's not enough uh, stimulus for our brain. And now we're doom scrolling on social media and we see all different kinds of pictures. But honestly, when I scroll on Instagram or on Twitter, I rarely see an image that took like longer than a day to make. It's all very fast paced because social media really incentivizes you to post and produce daily. And obviously, AI emphasizes that.
Mm-hmm.
But my fascination is when you really look at a piece and it tells a story, and there's time invested in it. There are mistakes in it. There are frustrations in it. There are lessons in it. And it is a mastery of skill. And it's something that someone made. Someone went through, like someone thought of the composition. And every detail has a little story. Even though the story might only be known by the artists themselves. And my inspiration comes a lot from manga. So I've been reading manga my entire life. And one of them, again, is Kentaro Miura. He created Berserk. And you seem to know Berserk.
Yeah.
Do you know Berserk from the manga or from the anime
I've
or
watched
just from
the
knowing the name? Yeah,
I've watched the new series and I've read like some chapters of the manga. It was not
yeah.
something that I got into, but like I'm aware of the story.
Uh-huh.
I get what happens to an extent.
Mm-hmm. So to me, I like the anime, but the anime is like always a movie adaptation of a book. It's on that level. The
Mm-hmm.
manga is something that the mangaka painted like with his hand. And Kentaro Miura, for me, was someone he. If you read the manga, you don't just see like a comic book. You see panels, art. You see art panels that you can hang on a wall. It's compositions. And and those are inspired by Renaissance paintings themselves. Kentaro Miura was also inspired by Hieronymus Bosch. He was inspired by the old masters in that sense, and it translated into his work, into his thematics. And I was just always have been really inspired by that aesthetic, by that art style. Another one is Hirohiko Araki. He's the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure,
Oh yeah.
and his drawings are heavily inspired by Renaissance and fashion. He translates fashion into drawings, and those are kind of my big influences when it comes to my work. It is on the one hand like historical paintings, on the other hand it's modern like or more recent times manga, and what wraps it all together is kind of the architecture aesthetic approach to it. And it's something I also learn how to work with. I do not sit down and draw something by hand from scratch. I model it and I put models in a composition and frame that composition and then continue from there. And that is the architecture approach, where I learned to model something and then you visualize it by putting in a 3D camera and rendering it. And this is something that you didn't have back in medieval times. This is something that is not done when you draw a manga, but it's something that I'm just fascinated by. And it is kind of an aesthetic language in a way that is inspired by the European Renaissance. But what I try to do is to break free from like the religious aesthetic constraints, like the Christian Renaissance, where you see a lot of uh, Catholic elements or religious elements, but
Hmm.
to have like an overall freer interpretation of whatever is going on in the world. Like it can be anything in that aesthetic. And this is something I have not achieved yet, in my opinion. This is something I'm trying to find.
Well, you're doing a pretty good job of it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying. I'm still trying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and I've said this before on this show and others, that there's a certain quality to certain pieces of art that stand the test of time, whether it's
Yeah.
Renaissance or even something like the Bible, Shakespeare, Beowulf. Um, a lot of these stories and themes and motifs, they in one way or another encompass some kind of um, idea about the human experience that is a universal one, whether it's betrayal or love or lust, um,
Hmm.
or heroism, or any of these classic themes. And they stand the test of time because just about everyone from every culture on the planet can, in one way, uh, shape, or form, relate to it.
Hmm.
And part of what, at least from my perspective, makes the Renaissance and that period and these works of art so great is because the part of the inspiration behind making a lot of this work was to aspire to something greater than oneself and to try
Yeah.
to live up to those ideals uh, to the best of one's abilities, because that was like um, the ultimate goal. Like not ever having reached a point where you can say, "Oh, I've finally drawn as God willed it," or "I finally painted as God willed it." Like it's an
Hmm.
unattainable thing, but the important thing is to constantly be in that pursuit of that ideal and to help realize it and make it into a reality. And it doesn't surprise me that like that's such an attractive uh thing to want to strive towards. I mean, it's even as you said, like you don't know if you'll ever if you'll ever reach that point where you're self-actualized to to the point of actually knowing uh that you've made like the perfect like piece that encapsulates like why you feel the way that you feel about these things. um because I think that's part of
Yeah.
the interest in it, is that it's an unattainable thing. The divine exists in this realm of ideas. It's not something that's tangible. You can't touch it, you can't feel it. The only thing that you can do is do your best to create works that are worthy of it. And what comes out of as a result, to the viewer, it looks like the divine, but to you as the creator, I'd imagine it's a bit of a different perspective.
Yeah. It's also like I think every creative has this personal drive to create, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be like a visual artwork. It can be anything. It can be in form of a hobby. It can be music. It can be writing. It can be like your work, the way you approach your work. It is there's this urge to it, and I don't think every artist has the urge of like being remembered forever, or that this like is like the reason they make the art. I think in many cases they're just doing it because that's what they love doing. They just want to create art. They don't even
Hmm.
care about making a print out of it or selling it or presenting it somewhere. They just want to make art. And many people draw in their free time, have sketchbooks, and whatever they do remains in that sketchbooks. Like it's just something that they love doing. It's a passion. But I think for me personally, it's also this trying to achieve whatever is in your head. It is having having ideas, like having stories in your head. Not everyone has that. I mean, you'd be surprised, but like I think many artists have this entire story and like a visual explosion in their head that they kind of want to show. But I think one always fails at it because it's, imagine you're thinking of something right now. Imagine, you know how the Eiffel Tower looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know how the Eiffel Tower looks like. We have it all in our head. Now I give you a pen and I'm telling you, show me the Eiffel Tower. We both know how it looks like. Show me now. And you have but a pen. And translating what is in your head to what's on paper is not talent. It is only skill. And that skill is something you can learn. Anyone can learn that. What is in your head, the way you're thinking of the Eiffel Tower, that is something you cannot learn. That is something that is special to everyone, or like comes from experience, comes from intrinsic worldview. It's just some person who has like an inner voice that tells them things, or someone who is like purely visual. But the way you put it outside of your body, outside of your brain, onto a paper, onto a screen, that's where that something that takes work. And this is something like the stuff you see this, the skill it takes to do this is something I have learned in 4 years, 3, 4 years, not more. I do not have more experience than that. If you go to artists that have been painting for 10 years, they're all technically far superior than me. But they might not have the same ideas. They might not have the composition in mind that I see. And the best thing you can do is achieve something with less technical skill, but something that represents what is in your head. And that is what makes art great, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's certainly one way to look at it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it is something that I have come across in these interviews, because not all artists are the same, obviously, but there have
Mhm.
been a few where I come away with the impression that the person is just a constant stream of ideas and creative output, and taking that away from them would be like taking a limb away from them. Having that
Yeah,
loss of being able to create would send them
yeah,
into like a manic depression in a way.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I get um, I get depressed when I don't make art. Like I have to make art. Like I need to get my dose of art in. Otherwise, you're gonna lose me.
Yeah,
Pretty much that.
it becomes a compulsive need. Like
Yeah,
this one artist I interviewed by the name of Anacondo. Um, she's quite the
yeah, I
accomplished.
know her. Yeah,
Yeah, she's quite
yeah,
the accomplished woman. I didn't
very. Yeah,
realize who I was talking to until she started like telling me about her IMDb and all this other stuff, and I was like, holy shit, that is a different caliber of person, because she's been an actress, she was a circus performer, she was a singer, she is a painter, a photographer. Now she's doing AI art, and she basically said she's like it wouldn't matter if I was living in some like small town and all I had were like sticks and sand and rocks to make art with. I would still be making art. It's just it's a compulsion that if I ignore, I lose a part of myself. And when she said
yeah,
that, I was like, oh, that's I don't have the same thing with creative output. For me, it's more so with dialogue, which is why I enjoy
yeah,
having this interview series. But I can understand that with having that kind of drive, or the fear of not having it, rather.
yeah. And the thing is, I can't really explain it why it exists. Um, it's just from my point of view. It's the only thing I can say is I always, whenever I saw something, whatever it was, and I'm going back when I was 6 years old, I had the urge to make it. When I was reading manga, my brother and I and my brother. I have a 2-year-old, 2 years younger, 2-year-old, 2 years younger brother. We always consume the same media and stuff and replicated it. He is extremely talented in music, and whenever we listen to music, we made our songs. Whenever there's a piano songs, we composed a piano song. Whenever there was like, we had an era where we listened to a lot of hip hop, we made hip hop songs. There exists Swiss German hip hop songs by Muhju. You'll never you'll never get to listen to them
Oh, come
unless I
on.
can unless I can show you even unless you're physically present. I will press play on my phone, but there's no way they're touching the internet. But like there's manga. I started drawing manga, like pages, because I was so obsessed with manga. I had to just take my spin on it. Obviously, I didn't like follow through and became a mangaka or a fully fledged musician. But ultimately, I found something that I really couldn't stop making, which is like art. It's something I see. When I see art, I have the urge to do my part, to replicate it. If you show me something that is so amazing and it flashes me down to the core, I'm going to want to become that. I'm going to want to make it myself. I'm going to start to look at it and be like, this is so good, that is so interesting, but I could do this. I could maybe like, I have this idea. I'm going to do this now. And then comes the drive. And then comes the creation. And that's how I basically made art. That's why I'm still making art, because every time I stumble on an artwork, I can't stop thinking about it, and I want to give my spin on it. If you go on my website, there's an example. I have the before and after. There is, if you go to, I think just see more art. If you scroll down, yeah, go up. Yeah, you can scroll. Yeah, it was there. Yeah, the one with the horses and the horse carriage. Yes, this one. Yeah, if you click on that one, you see this piece is called, yes, it is by the original. I saw the original, and I thought, but that looks like something that I was doing. Obviously, I mean, this is an extremely beautiful artwork. The original is by John Singer Sargent. Apollo's. I'm not sure it's called Apollo's Chariot. It has a bit of a by John Singer Sargent. Oh, yeah. There's an
Close
Apollo
enough.
Chariot roller coaster apparently. Yeah, this one. Yes, that's like a ceiling painting, like a 7-meter wide ceiling painting. It's magnificent. It is beautiful. It has this white gold figures. I was always like, I need to try to do this because like, and I basically remade this in a way. Yeah, it's not identical obviously, but the theme, it's perfect. It was like 16:9 screen ratio, beautiful, easy. That's done. Now I'm just gonna make horses and the figures and pose them, how they flow, the diagonal flow. You have on the left side more figures crowding the painting, and on the right side you have more empty space, but it's crowding, like it's filling the piece. You have less figures, but you have like more of this cloud that is like spanning over the piece. And that's how I sometimes like I do that just to learn more about composition and study pieces. Maybe you can even call that copying. This piece was, I think, from 1920s, from the 1920s, and now it's being revived again. It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
Yeah, 1922, around there.
1922. Yeah.
I don't see it as
When
a
I
copy.
made this,
I see it
you
as
have
its own
to.
interpretation of it.
Yeah. it was so easy to kind of remake this because it was like something that I've been doing already. But you always think you invent something new, but in my case, I don't, because what I'm doing is something that has existed for hundreds of years. But I just try to put my spin on it.
Yeah, and it's not worthwhile getting into that kind of headspace of like being concerned, like, oh, like, am I copying this person? Am I stealing from them? I mean, look, like, if you're literally taking
Yeah,
like one-to-one inspiration and you're just changing colors or some basic composition stuff, sure, like, that's essentially copying. But realistically,
yeah,
um, no piece of work since the dawn of man has ever been truly original, and everything is an interpretation of everything that has come before. Um, and so it's I understand the trap that some artists and creatives fall into in regards to that, but
mhm.
at the end of the day, like, if you even have that in the back of your head that like I can't, like, copying this person would be immoral, would be wrong, that's more than enough of a signal to just keep moving and making your piece no matter how like identical it looks. Because otherwise, like, if you got stuck in that headspace, like, oh no, I could never copy that, then we wouldn't have this piece on the left here. That would have never been
Yeah,
made.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep doing that for just to learn, to study the art pieces out there, how they were approached, because it's art is not always about inspiration, in my opinion. It is something that you can also like. I'm not inspired every day when I go work in the office. I have a deadline. There needs a pavilion that needs to be designed, right? There's a client who wants a new building. Um, I need to give a couple of ideas. Go, and I'm gonna have to be done by the end of the week. And it doesn't matter if I'm inspired or not. It's a systematic approach,
Hmm.
and in order to learn, to have a broader perspective, I take references and I rework them. And then sometimes in the middle of the piece, I get hit by an idea and I change the entire piece. That's why I also don't really like to show work in progress. I always, in hindsight, show the work in progress because I'm like, all right, this makes sense now. But when the piece is not done, I'm not even sure myself. And in the end, I'm going to reveal how it's made. So, I mean, you see, sometimes maybe see work in progresses or zoom ins. And yeah, this was a, this is a piece, it's called The Collector. And it's part of like a 50-piece series called Nexus Anima, which is a 51 of ones that I worked on for 8 months. And when I released them, it was like, "Wow, nice! Is that generated?" And yeah, that was so,
Yeah, with
because
my hands. I generated it with my hands.
yeah, and because it has this PFP format, it I broke even with it. I sold a couple, but it was like thought of having like you buy an Nexus Anima, you get like a physical necklace that I also designed, and it was a commercial failure in that sense, but I still had like half of the pieces, and I gifted some, I exchanged some, and I sold some privately, and now I got like a little community of my one of one collectors that I call it the Guild, and it's a super fun vibe in there. It's this Renaissance medieval vibe in there. Like it's like a D&D vibe almost.
Hmm.
When you look at some of the recent pieces, there's a lot of knights and swords and in it, armored angels and stuff. So it's like this vibe in there. It's super fun. Um, and it's all with the idea of like this aesthetic kind of, which it's really like this aesthetic. I think it should be modernized. I think it can be modernized. I mean, your clothing design is incredible. Like it's probably I'm not the first artist who pops in an interview saying, "Yo, can we do a collab? Like, can we drop a collection? Like, what's going on?" But it's this aesthetic that has its niche in the modern world, I think, and will always. I think this aesthetic is eternal. Like it's always evolving and changing a bit if you're going to modernize it, but it's like its core is like goes back into ancient Rome.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to ancient Rome. If you look at the Renaissance is a revival of ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And because they did not have like documents on it, they had to make it themselves. They did not know that the Doric aesthetic had like you have columns that have the head of the column, and they have no base, and they have like curvature. Doric, different types of, yeah, exactly. You have the Doric, the Ionic, and the Corinthian. And the Doric has also in the columns they have a like a bulge called the entasis. And in Renaissance times, they did the Doric columns with a base. So you can see the Doric column on the right, like on the very on the left, and it has a bulge, whereas the other ones are straight throughout the column, not only the head. And in Renaissance times, they remixed it. They took the Doric column and they added a base and they made it straight. Oops, that's technically wrong, but now you have a new column. And they remix different art styles. So if you have a Greek round temple, the Greek round temple doesn't have a cupola because the Greeks did not know how to do a cupola. They didn't know it was physically possible. So the Romans were like the first ones who created the cupola and the domes. And in Renaissance times, you have a Greek style round temple with a cupola. So that's something new. But in Renaissance times, they thought they were recreating what the Greeks did, but the Greeks did not have that. It was the Romans. And to me, the Renaissance is like a remix of art styles. In my art style, I call it Renaissance 2.0 because it's the same principle. I take the aesthetic of all those eras and those aesthetic rules and I remix them. But now the remix goes far beyond that. It has stuff that doesn't belong together. But because you put it together, it looks like it belongs together. But it's a complete remix in that sense.
Yeah, and
I mean,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's like you have medieval knights. If you look at my recent post, the pinned tweet, it's knights with a like a Renaissance looking half dome temple.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing typical. You do not typically see knights that are adorned with Baroque elements. Medieval knights don't look like that. It's historically completely wrong. It's off. Doesn't exist. But it looks like it makes sense. It kind of looks like it's correct, but it's not. So in that sense, I mean, it can be still very restrictive. I could put in an astronaut in here, but I still want to have a coherent story in that way. But that's the remix of Renaissance 2.0. But that's what I'm saying. I'm not there yet. I'm doing things that we have seen already, kinda. But my goal is to go a bit more beyond that, a bit more extreme. But this is a journey I'm on. I mean, it could take a lifetime to. It takes a lifetime for an artist to invent an art style, and many do not achieve that. And I'm not sure if I'm going to achieve that. It's like achieving that art style is like saying walking through a museum, looking at a painting and see, oh, that's a Muhju. Oh, that looks like a Muhju. For someone that comes 30 years after me and they look at it and say, "Oh, he looks like he was inspired by Muhju." Because when you look at my work, you're gonna see, "Oh, he's inspired by," and those are the artists that invented the art style. If you look at a squiggle, you think of Cy Twombly, because Cy Twombly is the artist that is known for all his squiggles, his scratches, right? And nobody is gonna look at a squiggle and name anyone else. They're gonna be like, "How you?" Or when you're an art student at university and you do squiggles, the professor is gonna tell you, "How you tried to do Cy Twombly there." So, as that student, you want to be the one who is gonna has a style named after themselves, and that is something many will not achieve. I'm not sure if I'm going to achieve that. I don't strive for it, but that's fine to me.
Yeah, and as you said, that this kind of style, it's it remains universal, and I agree with you that it will continue to be universal because, I mean, the biggest thing that stands out, it's seeing the depiction of the peak physical form of both the male and the female. Uh, there is something about it that is just so captivating. I mean, if you look at even like old paintings that are referencing the Bible, they always depict Adam and Eve or any of the characters, and like they're not like cut and ripped like Schwarzenegger, but you can clearly
Mm-hmm.
tell that they are embodying some kind of form of like physical fitness that
Mm-hmm.
is seen as an ideal. I mean, wasn't it? I forget which philosopher it was. I think it was. I want to say it's Plato, but I could be confusing it. And when he said that one of the worst things that a man could experience is never having lived a life and seen him reach his own physical peak. Um, I believe, you know what? Yeah,
I think that was Plato. I think that was Plato.
Yeah, no man has the right to be. Oh no, Socrates. No man has the
Okay.
right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength with which his body is capable.
Yeah.
And I mean, all those. I mean, even this right here. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, this guy's ripped. My God.
I think that's not Socrates. I think that's Heracles. That's a statue that he made. It depicts Hercules, but that was like the peak male form.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at David, the statue of David,
Oh yeah.
he's also ripped, and it says this deep understanding for. Yeah, I mean, it's not like nowadays all the bodybuilders and stuff, but that's like it's peak peak athletic body.
Yeah, especially back
And
then
obviously,
when people were
yeah,
like what, drinking wine and eating like what, like potatoes. Like that's like if you have that body, like, yeah, you're doing well. You're doing
yeah,
pretty well for yourself and, and living amongst the peasants.
yeah. I think I think people were fitter back then, in my opinion, than nowadays.
Oh yeah, you have
Like
to
if
be
you eat,
if you gotta outrun a bear.
yeah, for sure. If you're getting randomly challenged to a duel on the street, you better be prepared.
Yeah, or there's barbarians at the gates at any moment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, there is something about that aesthetic that's timeless, and I think we are going to see, as you said, a revival of it, because like living in the 21st century now, having some sense of like collective ideals, it's unless you live in like a collectivistic culture like something like Southeast Asia, like
Mhm,
Japan, China, what have you, um, or even Germany to an extent,
mhm,
where a lot of people, or there's a large capacity of people that share the same like ideals, grow up with the same stories and all
mhm.
that. Um, Now in our globalized world, that's a harder thing to come by, as we've become diluted, whether it's through immigration or importing culture from overseas, um, and there's something that we've lost along the way as a result of that. Plenty that we've gained, but some things that we've lost, and an aesthetic like this would certainly help in creating a more unifying image of what people should strive towards, whether it's in their physical abilities or mental abilities or what have you. Um, and there's something powerful to tap into whenever you create any kind of work of art that celebrates that. And it's as you said, like our clothing line is trying to embody that in some ways as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like there's a reason that all these different artists and movements have stood the test of time and still remain titans in their own right, and that value cannot be overlooked. It's something that has to be not just like openly celebrated, but encouraged, like to foster it. Like one of the
it,
things that
yeah,
I've thought about now is
yeah,
that, you know, as LLMs and AI like keeps getting developed, it's kind of on autopilot at this point and in the hands of very few talented people. But what I come away with it is the fact that the AI that we have is only going to be as good as the training data that we give it. And if we feed it a bunch of slop Instagram reels with like Family Guy with half the screen and some
yeah.
podcasts taking up the rest of the
Yeah.
screen, like that's the quality of AI that we're going to get. It's going to be trained on all this slop. And it made me realize like, oh, this is probably one of the most important times for creatives of, like, regardless of medium, to put out their best work, because the tools that are going to build the world of tomorrow are going to be based on all the things that we generate now. Like that's why it matters so much more. I mean, if you think about it in like a historical context, maybe they had this kind of idea where, like, you know, we have to push the boundaries of science, we have to push the boundaries of philosophy so that the next generation could uh, take what progress we've made and push it further. But now, like, AI has accelerated that to an extent where it's become even more important, but it's not oftentimes discussed.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, I think AI is great in a sense that you can really accelerate certain workflows, but ultimately, there's a difference between making the art yourself or having it made. If you type something and you press enter, you didn't make any art. You generated something that has a random aspect to it, and this is a whole discussion like we artists have between ourselves, like and collectors and everyone who's like everyone is confronted with AI. We have these discussions every single day. But what I think about the aesthetic in the Renaissance, for example, and what we're seeing also for your clothing, like it's a celebration of the human figure. It's a
Hmm.
celebration of humanity. And if you look at the statue of Da Vinci, I mean, it's so intricate what Michelangelo did there. He studied the human anatomy like no one else. He has certain muscles that are active when you move a finger
Hmm.
in that statue,
Hmm.
and it's a to me that's a study of the human figure. It's a study of how the anatomy works. It's a study of human expression. Um, and AI is the opposite, in my opinion. I mean, I'd never thought of it that way, but now that you mention it, it's like the actual polar opposite of how art is made. It's non-human work. It's non-human art. It's all computer generated. Obviously, if you speak of an LLM, it's all based on our data. So far, I mean, that's the restriction of an AI so far. It's all based on data, but once it goes beyond that, there is a never-ending possibility of making art. And this is where I hope that we can go back to this infinite possibility of how to approach art to actually make what is in your head. I believe that one day when I'm old, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna start speaking to my room, and the room is going to answer, and I'm going to say, while I'm entering it and sitting down, I'm going to describe an artwork, and it's going to generate in front of me, and I'm going to be able to narrate myself into the deepest detail possible, into the infinite pixels. Like when I make an artwork, I zoom in and I like pixel craft. I cut pixels. I see squares. I cut through them. This is how I make the art. And then I zoom out, and then there's several layers to it. AI cannot do that yet. Now it's so good, we expect it to be this good one day. But right now it can't do that. If you look at AI and you start zooming in, you see that it doesn't make any sense at this point in 2025. I think that will change. And that will change. I mean, we're talking about art. It will change the entire industry, everything. There's going to be a massive change. But being an artist will have a completely different meaning. It's all about concepts and ideas. I mean, it already is like that. If you look at art, it's not about how it's made. Primarily, it's about the idea behind it. It's always a story behind it. And in the end, we will be like in Wall-E, we will all be fat in our wheelchairs running around, and we will do whatever we want, will become a reality. We'll have video games tailored to ourselves, to our fantasies. Will be whatever we want. We can create whatever we want with a push of a button. We do not need to know how it works. It's just going to work because the robots will do everything for us. I think that, I mean, we're going towards that. And whatever you see right now with the statue of David, it's going to be gone, because in order to achieve what Michelangelo did, he went inside the human body. He cut up the human body. He cut up human corpses. He went deep inside the human body. And what we're going now is that AI is going to go deep inside the human body. And maybe we're going to lose control of that. But that's just a prediction of someone who's not an expert in that. But I think that's what's going to happen. What Michelangelo did, AI is doing right now. And we're feeding into it. Like the entire algorithm is changing. Like there's AI slop. But I personally find the AI videos so funny. Like there's some AI videos out there.
Oh, I love the
that are
Sasquatch.
funny.
I love the Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
Yeah, the Bigfoot. Yeah, I love it.
The
It's
Bigfoot
so
AI
great.
video.
Yeah.
My goodness, is that like I watched probably all of those videos, and he really, like, the person who did it released like a video saying how it's done. I mean, it's so good. Also, they're gonna I saw that one where they take steroids and start start working out. He just smashes the weight inside his head. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The core strength. Look at that.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's nuts.
It also in the office. I work a lot with AI. They hired me also because they saw my work, my art, and everything, and I know how to use AI tools, and I made like a video of one of our projects just like exploding, or one of our interiors, and there's like a tree exploding from beneath it, and it's just something you just have to be, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as anyone out there, you need to be like up to date with technology. As an architect, back then you learn how to draw with a ruler and a pen. Now you draw clicking 2 points and the line is generated for you. And the next step is going to be AI. You're going to be able to direct your instructions to the AI, and the AI is going to do everything for you. And you're going to be out of your job as soon as the client can do that. Then you're not going to be needed anymore. And I fear that day will come.
Yeah, and it's as you said. I've had this thought before too, where in an age where generating anything becomes too cheap to meter, the real value is not going to become from people that are able to push that button, but it's going to come from the people that are the tastemakers, people that are able to cultivate uh, a kind of philosophy, whether it's around like design or animation or what have you. People that
Mm,
understand what makes for good art and bad art, or good anything and
mhm,
bad anything, and that
mhm,
takes a certain amount of understanding the landscape of the culture and having a wide berth of things to pull from. Um,
mhm,
like right now, I could be you could make a decent career from being just like a DJ and just going on Spotify and seeing like what recommendations it makes you. But back
mhm,
then, what that would have meant was you would have to go to your local record store, sift through all these different unknown vinyls, buy a bunch of them, go home, listen to the tracks, and pick out like single tracks from all these different albums, and you would just amass this like collection. And
mhm,
as a result of you like actually going out and doing that, uh you would actually know exactly like where on the vinyl it skips or where like the transition happens or what have you. But now it's just like, oh, it's Spotify, I can just like click play and that's it, or I just move on to the next track, or I can set up a playlist. um
mhm,
but it's the person that can utilize like taste, or utilize their ability to curate uh, certain ideas, that is going to come out on top. Like there's this meme going around, like
mhm.
the tech world. It's been going around for a while. It's like, oh, like this is the era of the ideas guy, whoever has the idea, because generating that idea has become so much easier now, that the value comes from the person that is able to make that idea. I mean, like Rick Rubin,
Yeah,
he's like one of the most famous and prolific people in this space, because he has himself admitted that he has no musical talent whatsoever. He can't play any kind of instrument. I'm guessing you've heard of him.
yeah. I've heard the name, but I do not have an image in my mind. But I have heard of Rick Rubin.
Yeah, highly.
Sounds some.
Yeah,
Ah, yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
has a he has he has a he has a book that he wrote on creativity. Let me see if I yeah, the creative, a way of being. It's on my list of reads, but this is easily like one of the best books from what I've heard that you can get, that talks about um, what it takes to really put yourself in the correct headspace for a creative process, regardless of whichever medium or work that you're doing. So highly recommended. But um, his whole process and his whole value, because like you have all these musicians like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Kanye West, before he went crazy,
Mhm,
and all these other infamous like musicians that have asked him to work on stuff with him. um, it's simply because he knows how to tap in to that realm. Like he has this just like this wealth of knowledge of music and culture, and what is good and what is great and what is it that actually makes for a great record, um, that you can't really put a dollar figure on. There's not really an education that you can have that can prepare you for that. It's
mhm,
something that he's been able to cultivate over the years, and as a result,
mhm,
he's become this like huge, hugely influential person on the landscape of music. I mean, one of his most there's a story that he shared. I forget which band it was, but they were working on this record, and there was this one last song that they were just trying to get out before the album can be pushed. And the singer was like, the singer songwriter in the band was just like, he was so stuck. He's like, man, I can't, like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know how to finish the song. The lyrics aren't right. I don't know. Like, we need something to really tie it off. So Rick Rubin takes him over to his they're recording in his house. He has a studio there. Takes him over to his bookcase, or bookshelf, where he has all these like random books throughout like history, music, culture, all these different topics. And he just told him like, look, just pick one at random. Pick any of these books at random. Flip to a random page, and whatever like paragraph you land on, see if that'll that'll do anything for you. Um, and it actually ended up working great. Like I feel bad that I don't remember like the actual like the details of what band it was and what song it was, but yeah, the singer songwriter picked it up. He looked at the book and he's like, "Oh shit, this is actually perfect. It was amazing. Like
Yeah,
this is exactly what we need to finish the
yeah,
song." And then it became like a
yeah.
smash hit. Um, and that ability to just like to tap in to that like to the muse, to this kind of like spirit of the divine of creativity, a process that you can't control, you can't force it, it just has to come willingly to you, but you have to be open to it at the same time. Like that, having that ability, being able to do that, like that's going to become the premium moving forward, I think.
It's like what he did is also a bit of creative therapy right there. It's basically therapy.
Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. He is he what he does is effectively creative therapy.
Yeah.
Because like we don't think of it as like in those terms, but uh part of like the creative process is that you have to make yourself open to it. You have to
Mm.
create the you have to create like some kind of a bedrock layer, a foundation, so that you can tap into that process at any time. I mean, one of the edicts that he writes in the book is that in order to make great art, you have to consume great art. You have to have a background and understanding all the masters and their creations for like regardless of what medium it is, whether it's music or painting or what have you. Um, you have to immerse yourself in that world so that you at least have an understanding of why it is the greats were so great.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Would love to do this approach, try it out myself, just open a book, find a paragraph, and be like, all right, let's do this. And that's a systematic approach because I believe like creativity is like it's not always present. It's not going to be always present. It's like
Hmm.
comes in waves, and it's not that you can only be creative when you have those waves coming at you. It's you can be creative all the time. But you know how to approach that creativity.
Yeah, and there's no better feeling. Like you can't. There's no. It's not comparable. I can't compare to anything. Whenever you just you're struck with this idea, um, of making something, and you have to act in that moment to actually like put it to pen to paper. Because if you don't, then it's gone, and then that feeling will never ever return again. And you'll have it for like a different idea, sure, but that idea, like it's just you have to sit down and actively work on it. Like I'll have it every now and then on like some piece that I want to write or like maybe a piece of clothing that I want to make, and I know for a fact that like if I don't sit down and even like just sketch this out right now, uh, that's just gonna come and go. And being able to recognize that in the moment, um, that's key. Because like I in my art education, like in school, we were never taught any of this stuff. This kind of like philosophical approach to it. Um, never taught about form, composition, and like some of the greats and all that. But next thing you know, you're just told to like sit down and draw, and it's like, oh, I can't force this. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's not gonna come to me just because you told me to, or just because like I have a grade for it. Like this isn't gonna happen like this. Um, and I think there's certain aspects of like the education system that can certainly adapt uh, to art in that way, or that need to adapt to art in that way, because otherwise it's just like what like you're gonna be forcing it the entire time. Like you're gonna make some awful shit. It's never gonna be great.
Exactly. Also, the education is to kind of show how the world is working in the moment. Because if you study something, you got to study about that.
Your mic's a little faded there, by the way.
Sorry. Now.
It sounds like you're far away.
Wait. Wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
No. Okay, weird. It's like maybe my mic was not. It's not connected. The headset. Oh
Yeah,
no,
it
it
should be
should
fine
be.
now.
Okay. I wanted to ask, like, can we? I mean, we've been at it for how long? For over 2.5 hours.
Something like that. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what your timing is,
Yeah.
but yeah.
My girlfriend is in front of the door. I gotta
Fair
open
enough.
up.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll
Damn, it
round it
was
up here.
super interesting. I forgot the time completely.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate
Yeah.
you coming on and talking about your experience. I first stumbled upon your art and I realized there was like nothing that I've seen like it on the timeline. Um, and yeah,
Oh,
just decided to want to get you on there because
amazing.
it's awesome, man. I love it. I love
If
the theme that you have and everything.
Thank you. If you like this style, I think that there is uh Paul Reed, Minotaur Man.
Oh
Probably you've
yes,
seen
yep,
him.
yep, yeah. I'm trying to get him on the show
He's
too.
like
Yep.
he is a properly like skilled like painter.
Mm-hmm.
He did paintings for Prince Charles. Like he's exhibiting right now at Buckingham Palace. He
What?
is insane, and I mean, he's like, I think when it comes to painting and technique and everything, like in that style, he's peak. And obviously, Sam Spratt, he's a huge inspiration to me. But like, if you're not gonna see a lot on the timeline in Web3 in that style, but he's not native to Web3. He's an artist, no matter what, and he's a painter. And I mean, look at his work; it's just phenomenal. I
Oh yeah.
mean, if you want some of my help in reaching out to him, I can help you. Um,
Oh, we're
and
already it's just a matter of scheduling. We've been going back in DMs like
all
back and
right,
forth, and like yeah, he'll let me
perfect,
know like hey, I got like an exhibit, so like reach me out like next month. So no worries on that. Like he wants to come on, so it's just a matter of
incredible.
of finding the time. But yeah, I feel the
If
exact same way about his work. It's words fail me. I have no words.
yeah,
He's amazing.
and if you have him on, tell him I said hi. He's amazing. But
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
do.
right now he's at Buckingham Palace right now in this moment.
Wow. Incredible. But yeah, so
Yeah,
to close it off, in terms of socials, people can just find you at MuhjuArt, MuhjuArt. Art. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for making the time today. It's really been a pleasure. I can't wait to see what you come up with in the future. And if you got any kind of works that you're looking to exhibit or anything, like don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to have you back on.
Would be incredible. And if you have like, if you can talk to your CEO, if you want to like have some of my work on a T-shirt, we can do something. I would love to actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably had
I'll
other
see if
artists.
I'll see if that would be possible. I can certainly ask.
That would be sick. Yeah, nice, great. Then hopefully hear you soon, and I wish you a good rest of the day.
You as well, man. I'll see you on the timeline.
Thank you. Take care, man. Thank you for the talk.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Have yourself a good day.
You too. Thank you.